deserves the honor and all the fuss that goes with it. Taking you live now to Evans Town Center Park, where Harlem High School seniors are graduating right now. The ceremony getting started there about half an hour ago. So congratulations to the graduating class of 2021 all across the CSRA. Evans High School is holding their ceremony there at the park later tonight. That's going to start at 7:30, but again, a big deal. It's nice to see these seniors getting that graduation and a lot of people out there showing their support. So again, we are so very happy of their big accomplishment. Here at home.
A drive-by shooting in the early hours of the morning, at least 50 gunshots ring out. Now neighbors are terrified to be in their own homes.
I don't want to see nobody dead. I don't want to see none of that. I just want this to end.
We're learning more about a drive-by shooting in Aiken County that happened early this morning. It happened on Lawana Drive in Gloverville. No one was hurt, but really a miracle when you see all those bullet holes.
Right. It turns out another shooting happened in the same house exactly a week earlier. The incident report says one person was shot last Friday and taken to a hospital for treatment.
News 12's Nick Proto is live at the Aiken County Sheriff's Office for us. So, Nick, what have you learned about the shooting from last week? How is this all connected?
Well, the Aiken County Sheriff's Office confirms 21-year-old Tyrese Washington was shot inside his home last Friday. They say he's in the hospital, he is stable, but he's not cooperating with the investigation, making it tough on deputies there. And we want to show you some video in the aftermath of this morning's shooting. You can see bullet holes and broken glass, the result of about 50 rounds being fired. And it wasn't just this home. Washington's next-door neighbor's house was also hit. That neighbor hasn't been living in her home since Washington was shot last week. She says she and her kids have been staying with friends because they just don't feel safe.
I just want it to stop. Like, I don't have nothing to do with what's going on. Innocent people is getting hurt. I just want it to stop because it could have been my kids last night. It could have been me.
And Simpkins isn't the only one pleading for the end to these shootings. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll talk to some more neighbors who are calling for an end to this violence. Guys?
Nick Proto from Aiken County. Nick, thanks so much. I want to clarify.
This is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Dozens of bullet holes left behind after 50 gunshots are fired into 2 Aiken County homes.
Should not have to be feeling that we are afraid to walk out of our house because whoever has going on, they don't know how to stop it without guns.
And it happened early this morning, around 3 in the morning in Gloverville. Aiken County deputies say at least 50 gunshots fired into those homes there off Lawana Drive.
Right now, details are still pretty limited, but we did get a chance today to talk to some of the people who live in that neighborhood who are terrified. News 12's Nick Proto live from the Aiken County Sheriff's Office. And Nick, he talked to neighbors and found out this isn't the first time one of these houses has been hit.
No, Laura, it's not. The Aiken County Sheriff's Office tells me this same house was the site of another shooting 1 week ago today, last Friday, and 21-year-old Tyrese Washington was taken to the hospital with multiple gunshot wounds. Now, I spoke with Washington's next-door neighbor today who says she hasn't even been living in her home since last week's shooting, and it's a good thing because her house took some bullets today as well. Now she and other neighbors in that area are just pleading for this violence to stop.
It's not acceptable for our children, our neighbors' children, any of us to have to hear that at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Last week, Tyrese Washington was shot in the stomach, leg, and arm while inside his home. Last night, about 50 shots went into Washington's empty house, waking the community and causing panic.
I was petrified. I was really scared. And children shouldn't have to be scared because this just needs to stop.
Washington's house and another have bullet holes and broken glass from the shooting. Latifah Simpkins lives in that other house, but hasn't been staying there since last week's shooting. She and other neighbors say they fear for their kids' safety.
I just want it to stop. Like, I don't have nothing to do with what's going on. Innocent people is getting hurt. I just want it to stop because it could have been my kids last night. It could have been me. It's not good. It's not safe. They should feel free to come outside and play, not have to worry about somebody having guns.
They say the neighborhood is full of kids and older people, and they're hoping the violence stops before it's one of their families affected.
It's scary. It really is. Especially if you have kids, if you lose a kid or a parent is lost or a whole family is lost. It's scary.
Sheriff's Office says they don't have a ton of information on the case or any suspects right now because Washington is not being very cooperative. Guys.
Just feel for those families, just innocent victims, bystanders who don't want to get caught up in it. Nick, thanks for sharing their story with us.
Let's get a quick check of the weather now as we give you a live look at the Calhoun Expressway and check in with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale. Riley, we hit 90 today. Did we get any higher than that?
Only stayed right at 90, so we tied our hottest day of the year back in April 14th when we did hit 90 just about a month ago. So it was another hot afternoon, and we tied the hottest day so far of the year. At Daniel Field, we were just a degree shy of 90, but a very comfortable morning. Bushfield got all the way down to 53. Daniel Field stayed in the low 60s. We'll likely see a similar start again tomorrow morning. Here's a look at our current temperatures. We're down to 87 at Bushfield, 86 in Aiken. Looking beautiful this evening for another game at SRP Park, taking on the Woodpeckers again for Happy Gilmore night. Temperatures will be starting off in the 80s, falling through the 70s. We'll have a look at a hotter weekend and potentially record heat next week in just a little bit.
Riley, thank you. And just the last hour, we're learning Augusta commissioners might consider restarting the process of hiring a new fire chief.
It comes after our I-team found the city paid a staffing agency thousands of dollars to narrow down the best candidates for the job. But Antonio Burden, the finalist, was not on that list. Instead, his name was thrown into the mix by the city administrator. News 12's Celeste Springer live with us in the studio with what happens next.
So first, a committee will hash this out next Tuesday, and if they approve restarting the whole process, it will then need to pass in the whole commission. Also on the committee agenda, City Administrator Odie Donald plans to give an update and overview over the search. As we've seen speaking with commissioners, they're all split on how they feel about the search for the fire chief. Commissioners Clark and McKnight told us they were all for starting the process over at the last meeting. They say they believe it's best to start the whole thing from scratch. You might remember some firefighters spoke to commissioners. Captain Daniel Steele with Augusta Fire told us restarting the process entirely over wouldn't be the worst idea, but should be a last resort. He says he wants the city to pick from the list of candidates provided by the outside executive staffing agency. Meanwhile, other commissioners say time is of the essence. Commissioner Jordan Johnson said in an interview with us that he stands with city administrators' decision to throw Antonio Burden's name into the hat as fire chief. And I'm going to be working on this story tonight to hear from our commissioners about what their thoughts are on completely scratching the search and starting over from square one. We'll be keeping you updated.
Celeste, thanks for that. We're also learning more about what led up to the drowning of a teenage boy in Burke County.
Just in the last couple of hours, the coroner identified that teen as 14-year-old Martise Council. We're told he was a student at Burke County Middle School.
We spent this day trying to find out more about this latest drowning and how it might have happened. News 12's Will Volk is at the scene with what we know so far.
Details are still limited, but we are learning more about what happened here at Briar Creek. Today I talked to DNR who say the 14-year-old swang from a rope swing like the one you see behind me. He fell in and he did not resurface. Locals say this Burke County boat ramp is a popular hangout spot.
Where people come around here, gather up, have a good time. You know, it's the closest thing we got to the beach down here.
14-year-old Martise Council lost his life here Thursday night. Georgia DNR says rope swings like this can be more dangerous than they appear.
You know, there's a lot of things that can happen in a situation like that. In natural bodies of water, there's so many hazards, things that you don't have in a swimming pool.
Investigators are still working to figure out what exactly caused Council to drown. McKinnon says the cold water may have caused a gasp reflex.
And if your head happens to be under, you can aspirate water, and that can cause you to very quickly drown if you're not careful.
This drowning is the fourth in our area over the last month.
Most people just don't believe that it will happen to them or their family, and so they often don't take the proper safety precautions.
The drownings happened at Clarks Hill Lake last month and just last week on the Broad River in Lincoln County. McKinnon's best advice to avoid drowning is to wear a life jacket and know where you are.
Know your surroundings. Know what's in the water. It's always a good idea. Probably if you're in a natural body of water, it's probably best not to go in head first.
In Burke County, Will Volk, on your side.
And we would like to welcome Will to the News 12 team. Tonight, bond has been denied for a 20-year-old accused of shooting and killing his ex-girlfriend. Jaden Ross faces murder and aggravated assault charges in connection to the death of 20-year-old Brenley Kitchens. He was denied bond by a judge earlier today. In the bond hearing, we learned more details about how this happened. Court officials revealed Ross had been trying to get back together with Kitchens for a year, but that Kitchens did not want the relationship to continue. We're also learning the night Kitchens died, she managed to get away briefly and grab a knife for self-defense. That's when authorities say Ross shot her in the face. Kitchens was taken to AU Health in critical condition on April 28th, and she died the next day. Ross has been behind bars, charged with her murder ever since.
There is a new development in the investigation into the double murder of 2 Augusta women.
Charges have now been dropped against one of the 2 men arrested in that case, and now authorities are searching once again for a second subject.
The Richmond County Sheriff's Office says 21-year-old Julian Mays has been released from custody, no longer facing charges in connection to those deaths of Tisha Moulton and Latoya Oglesby. Deputies say they found evidence that he was not involved in the homicides. Meanwhile, 21-year-old Tyler Prather is still behind bars, charged with 2 counts of murder, aggravated assault, and a weapons charge. He's accused of killing the 2 women last Thursday at the Magnolia Court Apartments on East Telfair. We're continuing to follow the investigation very closely to keep up on the air and keep up with us online for updates. More affordable housing coming to downtown Augusta. This week, commissioners gave the green light for a new development in Harrisburg.
It is called Kendrick Place, and it'll have more than 60 affordable apartment units. News 12's Kennedy Harris live for us along the Augusta Canal, right near where that complex will go. So, Kennedy, city leaders say this new housing, it really couldn't come at a better time.
That's right, Laura. If you look behind me right there, that is King Mill. And just beyond that, that will be the site for Kendrick Place. It will be the first affordable housing unit for Harrisburg in years. And city leaders say it comes at a time when low-income housing is needed most.
The whole area is looking much more attractive.
The historic Mill community started as a place for working-class families.
Start with a very vibrant core in your urban area, and over 100 years or so, that begins to deteriorate till it gets to a bottom point.
Over the years, Harrisburg has been at that bottom, but now old things are being refurbished and new things are coming in.
I think that our developments often are catalytic, quite frankly, to developing parts of communities, especially in the urban downtowns.
Kendrick Place is a 4-story, 64-unit apartment complex in the works. The plan is for it to go right behind the King Mill. But it's not just any housing, it's targeted for low-income families.
There is a constant increase for the need for affordable housing in Augusta, in Georgia.
This week, Augusta's Homelessness Task Force found one of the barriers keeping people from finding a place is the low vacancy rates at affordable housing units we have now. They also found private companies placing burdensome application requirements like eviction history and high deposit costs on applicants.
And the availability of affordable housing is going to relieve some of that pressure.
Families can live at Kendrick Place without paying more than 30% of their household income on rent. It's just one step in a much larger challenge.
Now, this project is still in the early stages. Developers don't expect to break ground until next year, so it'll be a while before the first residents move in, but we'll keep you updated as we get new designs for the renderings.
Love seeing momentum in Harrisburg. Love seeing that revival. Kennedy, thank you for sharing that with us. Rent rates will range from $500 to about $900. The city's homelessness task force is looking for ways to work with local landlords to try to break some of those barriers and make more housing options available in Augusta.
Columbia County Schools will soon have a new superintendent. I sat down one-on-one with Dr. Stephen Flint, the new man in charge, after Dr. Sandra Caraway retires next month. He's from Gwinnett County, where he served as an assistant superintendent there, and I asked him what he thinks of the school system here so far.
I've started to meet a whole lot of people, and really the first thing I would say is it's all about the people. They're the ones that make it work, and it was the same way in Gwinnett. So looking back, we've had a lot of growth in Gwinnett County. That was one of the first things that I saw from Columbia County that made me really excited about some of the growth and things that are happening here.
Dr. Flint's been an educator for nearly 30 years, working his way up through the ranks from a teacher to superintendent. So if you want to see the full interview, it airs right here on News 12 Sunday morning. And of course, we'll also post that for you on the website, wrdw.com.
Well, we got up to 90 this afternoon, but expecting hotter highs this weekend and near record highs heading into next week. We'll have an update on that and the tropics coming up.
And if you're getting outdoors this weekend, there's a new spot by the lake to check out. We'll show you around the new pollinator trail coming up.
HotTubExpo.com.
A new pollinator trail opening near Clarks Hill Lake. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers recently partnering with the Longleaf Alliance to make this happen.
First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale shows us more of that new lake attraction and how these projects benefit more than just the pollinators.
If you're looking for a fun outdoor activity at the lake this weekend, look no further than the brand new pollinator trail off Highway 221 near Clarks Hill Park. The new trail was named after Christopher D. Spiller, a former natural resource manager for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers who dedicated his life to conservation of pollinators and longleaf pine habitat. He passed away last September at the age of 53. The quarter-mile trail circles through a meadow of native wildflowers which attract pollinators like bees, butterflies, and moths.
And one of the fun things you can do out at the pollinator garden is be on the lookout for these hidden recycled green chips. They actually have a QR code on the back that you can scan to find out some cool information on pollinators.
These pollinator species are vital to our local farmers.
These are very important to have to keep these species occupied in these areas for crop production.
The diversity of two different ecosystems at the trail site make it very unique.
So you kind of got the best of both worlds. You've got a Piedmont prairie basically here, and longleaf pine ecosystem on the outskirts of this that you can come right here in this one area and see.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, along with the Longleaf Alliance, are helping restore the depleted longleaf pine habitat. They've been planting trees like this at the pollinator garden and other sites along the lake.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says they have an additional 5 50-plus acre tracts dedicated to help restore longleaf pine habitat around the lake.
And the pollinator garden is also great for birding, catching a sunset, and they even maybe have some plans to maybe hold some weddings there eventually.
Oh, cool.
That may
Yeah,
be in the works
gorgeous.
as well. I mean, it has the perfect backdrop for it. It's a beautiful spot right there between Clarks Hill Park and the Thurman Dam, so very easy to find. Just kind of sits on the top of a hill. But these longleaf pine trees, they create some massive pine cones, and it takes about 30 years plus for a tree to get a size to produce a pine cone this big.
That's almost football size.
It really is. It really is. It's about there, but
Good spot for your Christmas decorations.
I know only about 4% of the original longleaf pine habitat remains in the southeast. So
Wow.
it's critical that they have these type of projects on.
Wow.
Nice
Very
place.
neat,
You know,
yeah.
you can put peanut butter around that, and the birds love that.
Oh yeah, for
Backyard.
sure.
Roll it in your
Sure.
Yeah,
Little
we're just
bird
full,
seed in there.
we're just full of ideas on a Friday.
Is this Martha Stewart something or ours?
Hey, but great weather up at the lake this weekend. We are expecting beautiful conditions. If you are heading up to Clarks Hill, Saturday we're expecting upper 80s for highs, mostly sunny, just a little bit warmer by Sunday to where we should be able to top out at least into the low 90s Sunday afternoon. Now, the lake temperature is up to 74, so we're getting close to being able to swim, and it's still a little bit chilly for me, but by the time we get to see 92 by Sunday, should be nice out there. Here's a look over downtown Augusta. We got the Calhoun Expressway. After hitting a high of 90 earlier, we're currently at 87 degrees. Dew points in the mid-50s, so our air is fairly dry, and that relatively dry air will stick around through tonight. So we'll be able to drop down to that number by early tomorrow morning. Mid to upper 50s right around sunrise Saturday. A nice start, but it is going to be a hot finish. We are expecting highs back up close to 90 for us here in Augusta tomorrow. The rest of us should generally stay upper 80s, so if you're heading up to the lake, not quite up to 90, but still, it'll feel like it. It will be hot for all of us. And then by Sunday, we are expecting mid-90s here in Augusta. The good thing is that it's not expected to be too humid, though, so it will be a dry heat. Still make you sweat, though, even though it is 95 by Sunday. If you have a road trip planned, Asheville is expecting beautiful weather. Mid-80s Saturday, Sunday. Should be generally sunny through the weekend there up in the mountains. If you're heading towards the coast, Charleston's going to be just as nice. Low 80s Saturday, and then closer to 90 by Sunday afternoon. Now, this is the big weather story, folks. By next week, we are going to rival that record heat of May 2019. 3 days straight to where our high temperatures will be close to 100 and get close to those records we broke just a couple years ago. So it is going to be getting even hotter as we head into early next week. Our temperatures are going to just stay very hot all the way through that time frame, and rain chances going to remain very slim. So unfortunately, not much rain in our forecast to accompany this heat. But we are tracking actually a system in the Gulf of Mexico. The National Hurricane Center has about a 60% chance of this forming into a named storm over the next 2 days.
They have now classified as Invest 91L, so it is a tropical wave classified as that, and winds are sustained up to 35 miles an hour. So it's right on the verge, a little bit of strengthening, and we could have our first named system here of the 2021 season. We also are tracking a second system just to the northeast of Bermuda. This is expected to stay over open ocean, but it is a little bit stronger than that system in the Gulf. We'll have to wait and see if that gets named as well heading into the weekend. Past Sunday, we are expecting hot highs, upper 90s, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably even Thursday, maybe even in next Friday, and very little rain in that forecast, so some drought conditions may be possible.
Thank you, Riley. If you're headed out shopping this weekend, we've seen several stores updating their mask policies this week.
From here on out, the CDC says it is safe for fully vaccinated people to go mask-free while inside most places. News 12's Zaina Halliburton breaks down where you'll be this weekend and where you will not. Zaina.
Laura, since the CDC updated its guidelines, we've seen most retailers follow suit. That means if you're fully vaccinated, you can probably leave the mask at home this weekend. Here's all of the places allowing mask-free shopping for vaccinated customers. Most grocery stores are on board: Walmart, Kroger, Publix, Sprouts, Aldi, Costco, and Sam's Club. Places like Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, Office Max also included. CVS, Walgreens, Macy's, McDonald's, and Starbucks too. All of them say fully vaccinated shoppers can go mask-free. They're trusting the honor system and not requiring proof of vaccination. Now, on the other hand, there's still a few spots taking caution before updating their mask guidelines. Apple and JCPenney are still requiring masks for now, and if you're planning on taking an Uber or Lyft this weekend, masks will still be required for ride-sharing trips also.
Good tips there. Good advice. Zaina, thanks very much.
It kind of feels weird, though, walking somewhere without a mask. I walked in the Costco the other day, and I was like,
yeah,
I don't need this?
You don't know whether you should or shouldn't anymore.
It's crazy.
It's a toss-up, but that kind of helps clarify where people stand there. Just a heads up, if you have plans in Columbia County over the weekend, you can almost bet on traffic right there around Evans Town Center Park. The high schoolers are kicking off their graduations, and in fact, it's been going on as we speak. Harlem High School wrapping up their ceremony right now. It just started at 4:30 this afternoon. Coming up next, Evans High, the Knights, tonight at 7:30. You can expect some delays over there near Antebellum Way, Ronald Reagan Drive, Washington Road, which is always busy, and Evans Town Center Boulevard. And then after tonight, another round of graduations kicking off tomorrow with Greenbrier High School at 1 o'clock. Congrats to all of our graduating seniors and the parents. Let's not forget them.
Oh, yes. We do want to take you live downtown where a group of people are gathering at the James.
Any outdoor plans for the weekend? Looking good. 0% in the rain department all the way through this weekend, and actually most of next week as well. Well, look at that 7-day forecast coming up.
The annual Doorbuster event.
Your lakefront forecast brought to you by DeFore Realty. We know lakefront real estate.
Looking good this evening if you are stepping out. Temperatures currently in the mid to upper 80s for most of us. They will stay in the 80s through around sunset. And then we will be dropping down to the mid to upper 50s by tomorrow morning. Those sunrise temperatures will be in the 50s, but by 8 a.m. already low 60s. And then tomorrow afternoon, we are expecting at least the mid to upper 80s. I think us here in Augusta will likely hit 90 again tomorrow afternoon. Car wash forecast looking good if you need to take that, or if you need to get that taken care of this weekend. Sunday, we're expecting to get to the mid-90s. If you think of 95 looks hot, wait until next week. We're expecting those highs to get to the upper 90s Monday, potentially 100 degrees next Tuesday, and we'll stay just as hot through most of next week.
It's a long time till August. That's going to wrap it up for News 12 at 6 o'clock.
We'll see you tonight at 11. Have a great night.